Before you speak to your friends from college, do this one thing. For the past 15 years I was in the educational system, I've tried different ways to network and to find my best friends in college, and to only find out that it all comes down to these principles that I'm gonna show you. I promise with this video you will have an insane idea about how to network and what is the best networking for you in college or whatever educational system that you're in. And I promise that what you will see, you can never unseen it. The way that I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you the stories, I'm gonna give you the lessons, and then I'm gonna give you a secret of mine. Beginning with one of the best years in my life in the educational system was the last year for me in high school. So that year was so golden, in fact, that I always talk about it for friends and for people that are interested in education, right? And just to give you a good idea about this, in addition to me spending 15 years in the educational system, I also have a service that I started 9 months ago that works only with students that are about to make their final essays in college. So this is huge because it shows me and it showed me a lot about literally student psychology, how different students think, and also when they are under pressure, which showed me a lot of stuff that will change the entire mindset about networking in college. And one of the most important thing that I think I got from this was actually understanding how different students work under pressure. And look, this will all make sense in a second. When I was in college, I had this big exam that was coming, and I had a big friend group, okay? We were all friends, and there was different genders, okay? So males, females, everything. So there's a variety of people that were in that group, and they understood that this exam was a big thing, it was a big deal, and everybody was scaring us for the level that were above us, okay? Which is something that you should always ignore, okay? By the way, just FYI. So at the moment we didn't know that we should do that, and we were all scared, okay? And I was scared too, and I was like, dude, what should we do? I don't know, what the heck is this? And I had a bad experience with college the year prior to that, so it was kind of all a mess. What I understood from the entire thing is that you want to be with the friends that are comfortable with the stress. I'm gonna give you an example, okay? So in the final year in high school, I had the biggest exam in my life. It's so stressful that it actually goes on the national team and the national TV every single year. The media, the press, everybody covers it. So this national exam should be like the hardest exam that you go, at least in 12 years of the educational system. And I was going through this exam, and through the entire year, I was doing a lot of different stuff. I was making YouTube videos, I was doing e-commerce, I was training all the time, and I was studying, okay? Everyone else was just studying and doing additional classes, which I was not even doing because I didn't have the money. And I was like, I prefer to do other stuff than actually to put a lot of money to study more. It just was not for me, okay? I was reading a lot of books at the time, and it was a different dynamic. The difference between me and other people that were in the same year, it was the stress levels. I was in a healthy stress level. I was stressed, of course. I was taking the biggest risks here, but still, I felt healthy and I felt excited about what I did. And look, before you say, oh, this is why probably you're not gonna be the best, in the final test, in the final national exam, I was the best. I got the best note out of all the friend group, and in more than one class. So not only in my classroom. And you're like, oh, but it must be something else now. The year prior to that, I was not the best. I was not even near that. And yeah, even in the class, I was not the best, but I still did perform well. And this only is related to your stress level and how you feel. Let me explain. So there was this day that I was with college students, okay, and we were talking about this exam that we had, and I found out that they were all stressful, as if there is some big life or death situation that they're facing. I was like, dude, why are you doing all of that? It's like just a test, and that's it. It's literally 12.5% out of 17% of the final grade. It's not a big deal. You should not give it a big deal, you know? And they didn't listen. Okay, and I found it weird because I asked them, I was like, just what makes you struggle? And they're like, you have it, dude. I didn't even prepare for the exam. What do you mean by I have it? I prepared literally half an hour before the exam, right? Before I enter the class. And you're telling me that I have it? There must be something that is happening here that I have to know, because this is deadly, right? Because if you put yourself in negative situation mentally, everything is screwed. If you want to do a business deal, if you want to convince someone, if you want to make a sale, if you want to convince your director, if you want to get a raise in job, or if you want to pass an exam, it's all the same, okay? So you have to deal with high stress level. And actually for me, I found out that the best stress level, according to my data of 30 months, is about 8 out of 10. When I'm 8 out of 10 stress level, I'm doing good, okay? When it's 10, it's usually something is off, because when stress levels are 10, usually it means that you are not dealing with the stress how it's supposed to be dealt with. And usually it happens to the students and college students, etc., because they get into that environment, which I was in too, and that's why I'm speaking of. I'm based on the data and the analysis that I did about myself, so not just speaking here. Is when I was looking into all of the videos and lo-fi music, study with me stuff, and all of the how to get an A grade and A plus in all of the subjects, I was down bad. I was literally down bad mentally. I was stressed so much. I was like, dude, my exams felt like the end of the world. It's a life maker or breaker, and usually it is not. And one of the most turning points is to change big shifts that happened to me in college. The first year that I got into nursing college, I entered the class with a mindset. If you want to look, before you start college again and you think about college, do this one thing. Focus on what you think about other classmates. In the first year of college, nursing college, I got there and all what I was thinking of is everybody here is better than me and I am the worst. For me, I was like, you know what, I'm going to say that so I motivate myself to study more, because I didn't want to be there, to be completely honest, which got me down bad mentally, which screwed me to the point that at the end of the year, I got suspended from school despite being the 8th in the class. Okay? On the other hand, about 1 year later, I just was tracking all my teammates or my classmates, and I found that look, there is an entire class that I knew all of them, that I said that all of them are better than me, okay? But I still was classed the 8th in the class, so kind of like I'm sure they're not all better than me, okay? They all passed the hardest year in college. And I was like, dude, everyone is speaking about the hardest year in college, but it doesn't matter what's the year. Tell me the people. I know those people. If all of them has passed, I'm gonna pass too, because there's no fucking reason why I'm not gonna pass. This is the mentality that is literally will change everything for you. If you're saying what I used to say as if everyone is big, everyone is really smart and they're studying all the time, so I should too. Just as motivation for yourself, it's negative energy, and your unconscious mind doesn't know what's the difference between you motivating yourself with negative energy and actually the truth. One of the biggest lighting and turning points in my educational career of 15 years was the time when I read the book, first time reading the book Think and Grow Rich. I was reading the book, and most likely it was in class, okay? So it was in college lecture, and sometimes I read the book, okay? So if stuff gets more boring, I'm reading the book. So I was reading the books, and he was speaking Napoleon Hill, who's literally like one of the goated people that makes books. He's literally spent 22 years writing this one book. He was speaking about the unconscious mind and how there is a thought vibration that everybody has. I said, okay, tell me more about this. I'm interested. Okay, I'm hooked. He said, everyone has a thought vibration. thought vibration that only our unconscious mind can detect. I was like, okay, what? And if you're confused, I was confused too, but it all made sense with the story. And I said, okay, keep going. He said, when you enter a room and you hate someone, even that you've never met him, that's your thought vibration with his thought vibration are contradicting. And the same thing goes with the opposite, right? If you love someone, I was like, okay, this is just some bullshit. But I continued reading. And he keeps talking about how there is all of the inspirations and hints and visions are all coming from our unconscious mind. Because he continues speaking, the difference between unconscious mind and our conscious mind is that our unconscious mind has the access to unlimited intelligence, okay? And the only way to activate and tap into unconscious mind is by actively training for it regularly. So you train to use your unconscious mind, and you cannot use it just by thinking. So you cannot consciously tap into this except if you do this one thing. You have to mix emotions with whatever you want to have. I was like, okay, tell me more about this. And you see, when there's a vision, when there's a hint, when there is an inspiration that you get, and by the way, he was speaking about all of the big people at the time, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Carnegie, and I was like, okay, these are big names that he studied. He spent 22 years studying. He said all of the people, the musicians, the artists, the time when they're actually doing their best pieces is when they are in this state. I was like, okay, this makes all the sense, okay? And he said, that's why you have to always mix your conscious with your emotions to tap into the unconsciousness. And the reason why this is very important with studies is because when you mix your negative emotions with what you want, so let's say I want to prepare for my exam and I'm mixing negative emotions like I did, saying that everybody's better than me. For me, I was like, everybody's better than me, so I have to work so much for me to keep up. And by working so much for me to keep up, I'm gonna get some good grades, as if I'm fucking genius. No. Because your unconscious mind gets that, okay, you will get motivated and stuff like that. The problem with that is your unconscious mind have no clue about that you want all of this stupid stuff. He just know positive or negative. Period. And there's a reason why the literal first right hand of Bill Gates speaks about mantra, okay? It's a sort of mantra, but it's really what it is you have to speak with yourself always positively. He's the right hand of Bill Gates. And as a conference, it just was made about 3 days ago, dude. And he says, look, you have to always be very conscious about your habits. And people thought they would speak about sleep, about eating, about healthy food. And he spoke about breathing and what you say to yourself, the inner dialogue, which also is always related to autosuggestion, which is what I was autosuggesting to myself at the time, is that I'm not going to succeed just by default. All right? And something that I was stupidly saying, which actually, like, it shows this, what I read in the book so clearly, is that I was telling myself this, I swear to God that I was saying this all the time to my colleagues, and it was not a dumb or a stupid colleague or a student, all right? So we were in college, and I'm always saying this one thing. I'm like, look, dude, if God wants you to succeed, even if you do nothing, you will succeed. But if God doesn't want you to succeed, even if you do whatever you want, you will not succeed. I was always saying that. As if we just do the reasons, but God does everything. Which is, look, it sure is true. Like, if you want something and God doesn't want you to do it, you are not going to do it. But we're talking here about you, okay? We're talking here about the reasons, all right? So let's be real with each other. Your unconscious mind doesn't have no clue about what you're speaking about. Just have an idea about what you're saying. It was negative thoughts. Guess what happened? Literally what I was saying happened. I was the 8th in the class, an amazing straight A student, and I got suspended. I didn't succeed in the year. And it was one of the rarest incidents that happened, not because what happened, but because I accepted it here. And I said it out loud. My unconscious mind got that. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna make that a reality of your fucking miserable life. That is the life you want. That is the life you have. And look, when I found out about that, I'm like, I'm never saying that again. You know what I say now? Even if you don't study at all, if God wants you to succeed, you will succeed. And just shut up. There is no fucking other part. There is no fucking other part. And there is no fucking other bullshit that I'm gonna say or think about. Because it's thought vibration that matters. So I speak about this to my colleagues and they just don't comprehend. But usually because I don't have all the time to explain this in detail. But I try to give them my best, okay? Which gets me to one of the most important of them all, which is connections with colleagues, okay? So I've been a friend with 400 students just to realize this one secret. The best students that you want to be friends with are usually not the straight A students. But at the same time, they are the students that do little effort and get so much results, which is known as efficiency. How to know these students? Usually they don't really show as interests in the lessons and everything as the straight A students. But at the same time, they perform very good. And people will be like, you look like someone who studies, but your actions doesn't show that, but your results, dude, show that you study. Those people that you want to be with. And how to know them? They're mentally insanely good. They have no stress, they're always laughing. And I'm gonna give you even a story. So the first week in my internship this year, I found the people, so all of them are my colleagues. The people were my colleagues the first year, the other people are my colleagues the second year. So I know both, right? I was the only person that know everyone there. And I went to new colleagues and I said, look, you see the group of college colleagues that we are with right now are the best group that you will ever see in your life in the internship. They're like, oh, sure, whatever. But then now I'm reminding them of what I said and like, dude, you were correct. Because those people that we met, right, they're all my colleagues, okay? They had those characteristics that I'm speaking of. It's the perfect teammates. It's the perfect colleagues that you want to have in college. That they can get the results they want. So whatever it is, they will succeed, they will get the grade, they will get this, they will do that, okay? But at the same time, they're mentally stable, they're mentally comfortable, they're always laughing, and they give you all of the positive energy, okay? Those people will help you way more than the people who are straight A students, A+ students, but at the same time, they're literally cowards. It feels as if they have mental struggles. I know people from my college that I always talk to them. And I say, dude, what is happening to you? You look as if you're having a mental problem. A literal mental disorder you're having. Because, dude, you're so afraid. The negative thoughts, it's not only will consume them, but will consume you too. You don't want that. You want the people that will give you positive energy. So you use that. And as an example, for me, I have to work on these different stuff. You can't give me negative energy. I cannot afford to get it. Because I have to do this stuff. And I want you to do the same. Like don't do one thing, okay? Do two things. Do college and do something that you want. And this gives you the energy to actually do it. And that's why I think This thing is the most important note that you will ever hear about education ever. And look, as I promised you, and I always do what I promise, follow these steps, okay? So take care of your conscious or unconscious mind, 2 of them. Take care of what you say to others, what you say to yourself, and then the positive or negative vibrations that you put to the world and also the colleagues put to you, okay? And also make sure of the networking that you are dealing with. And I promise that this will change your educational life forever. And as I promised, look, what you've seen here, you can never unseen it. And it's all based on data. So yeah, subscribe.